And hello, everybody. Welcome to Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon, and I'm so glad you guys could be here. We made it to another Sunday. So, got a great show for you today. And let's go ahead and bring on my guest, and then we'll say hi to who's in the chat. So, who do we got first?
Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up.
What's up?
Hello. How are you?
Not too bad. It's a pretty groovy tune that you got going on there. That intro. Yeah, I like it.
Or
it's
the
cool.
intro.
Yeah, the intro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both.
Well, just for you. That's your. I don't know. I was thinking of changing them all again. I don't know. That's a lot of work. I don't know if I'll do it or not. But everybody, Brent from the Tall Ones, as you know, and
Yay!
Yay for Brent. Okay, let's bring
My
him
own
in.
applause.
I have an applause somewhere in here. I don't know.
Too late now. Too late now.
I lost it. You have to have it right at the
I
bottom.
already gave my own applause.
Yeah. Okay.
Yay, me.
Eric, hey,
What's
welcome
up?
to the show.
What's going
There we
on,
go.
guys? Awesome
How you
intro. That was badass.
That's your
Pretty
intro for the House of Secrets. Welcome, and
Thank you.
glad you could be part of the conversation today. I do have a couple more guests, but they're running a little bit late, so we'll bring them back on whenever they show up. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. First, let's see who's here. Let me see if I can go up to all the way to the top. Well, of course, we have Uncle Bones in first. Hi, Uncle Bones. Hope you're doing good. Grasshopper, Angel Nolan, good to see you. Trackway, there's Robert, good to see you. Woolly Booger, thanks for showing up. And who else do we have? Yeah, people are slowly coming in. There's Sandra. Hey, Sandra, good to see you. And there's B. Lynn, #1 supporter of all of us. I don't know how she makes it to everybody every time and has the best comments for everybody. We love you, B. Thanks for supporting all of us. We do appreciate it. There's Brian and Chewy. Good to see you. I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. But thanks for being here. And the topic of the day. We have, you're going to disrupt me right in the middle of the show. She's bringing food in my room. Go away.
Whoa, I'll take some.
Room service.
Now I'm hungry. I haven't eaten.
Yeah, me
What
too.
was that? It was like
what is
fettuccine
for
or
dinner?
something.
What's for dinner over there?
Well, now you have to bring it because
What?
now
What's
everybody
up?
wants to know.
Let
What
me
did
see.
you make?
What do you got?
You made fettuccine Alfredo while I was getting stuff
That looks
ready.
good.
Looks yummy. Looks
Look
yummy.
at it.
Looks yummy.
I'll take it.
Yeah,
No,
me
I
too.
can't eat while I'm doing this. Thank
Sure you
though.
can.
I appreciate it. I'm not gonna eat while I'm on doing this. That's you. You do that. You
Yeah,
think we
you
don't know, but
got to sneak them in there somehow.
yeah, you think them in. But that was very nice. She made dinner.
Yeah, it was. That's very
I
sweet.
didn't even know she was making dinner. I was busy in here doing last minute stuff. So see, now I'm distracted. I don't know where to do. So who's to blame? That's the subject for tonight. And is it the fraudsters or the followers? Is anybody to blame? Are we am I taking this a little bit a different direction? You know? But let me tell you, I was reading through I like to read through Brent's comments on his show.
They can be entertaining.
Yeah, they're very entertaining. And I came up on this one particular comment from an @ChaseShadow. And he just simply said, who's to blame? And I started thinking about that, like, right, who is to blame, you know? And the frauds or the people who believe them. And there's a bunch of reasons that started popping up into my head about that. Specifically, responsibility. Is anybody responsible? I don't really think so in this case. I think it may be both, a little bit of both, and that's what Brent posted on there. And that, in the case of where this video was, it was really both people, because you can tell people, right, the facts, and they don't believe you. You know, it takes even more and more evidence these days to prove that you're telling the truth. It's very hard to get people to believe. Let me put the chat back over here. So that's where I was going with this is, well, who is to blame? So you have your fraudsters and you have your followers. Your followers would, in my opinion, would be almost victims, kind of like victims, okay? Yeah. They're taking, what was I going to go with it? No, I forgot. Some of them have no idea, right? They have no idea that any of the background of these people. So they just blindly follow them or follow the leader. And we're going to get to the followers part. But at first, I really wanted to talk about the actual fraudsters. You know, those guys who are taking people for everything they have, money even. And that's one of their motivations, right? Is that some, if you have enough followers or subscribers and you get enough views, you may get a little bit of money. Now, in my opinion, you need to have a lot of views before you start really raking in the money on YouTube or anything like that. But there is a little bit of money involved, especially if you start doing sponsors and all that other stuff. I don't really know about that. I'm not sponsored. Brent's not even monetized. His channel is not monetized as well. So I don't have a lot of that background info on how much you get paid on your viewerships. Pennies on the thousands. I don't know. Something like that. Do you know anything about that, Brent?
No, not really. I have the opportunity for sponsorship, but I don't do it. I think it's important for, at least for this channel here, to keep it monetized free, so it can never be used against it, as far as just doing it for the money or whatever. And
that's something that always gets put in your
yeah, pretty much
comment section, is that you're just doing this for the money. You're trying to rob people of their money, and they don't even know or pay attention, or because you've said it quite often that you're not monetized. You're not going to monetize the channel. You've decided not to do that,
But that's just one of the things that people will use in order to really deflect of what's being said, because they can't take what's being said. So they need to create some sort of barrier of why I'm wrong, why I'm the problem. And the most common one is jealousy, is what I get told, that I'm jealous, trying to steal people's research. And so, there's like a top 5 that people usually do. And it usually comes out when they don't know how to respond to what's being said to them. And if you look at these comments that I get, and which why I do videos on them, it's just that, it's not anything about the information I'm presenting as far as it being factually wrong or anything like that. Nothing like that. It's all emotionally based responses from people who don't know how to process what's being said. And that's why it's important to have these type of discussions in a way everybody can be included, even the ones that are on the opposing side, which is a lot of people. And that's why it's important how the communications are done. If you want to try to really communicate with the masses out there, it's important how you go about it and that type of stuff. So yeah.
I noticed all, that comes up in your comment sections all the time, and that's the easiest thing for them to do, is can't attack your video because you're just telling the truth. Facts, right? The facts. So they have to attack you, and that's what happens.
Yeah, and the important thing is, I'm not giving them any ammo to attack me, to attack me in a way that's going to distract from the actual facts and information being presented. That's why I don't do the name calling, like the derogatory name calling, or do things in order to start drama, or I learned better ways to do it because, you know, I always listen to the feedback of the people, you know, of what people call negative comments. I always read those and because there's something you can learn from it, because I'm trying to communicate to those people. And it's like, well, where am I failing at trying to communicate to these people? And they give you sometimes the answers within their comments, and you can just read them and not get affected by them. And you know, just try to make your next video with that included and stuff. So it's like, we do.
Yeah. So there's different, if we look at just the person who's misrepresenting themselves, okay, and there's a lot, okay, we know that there is a lot of people out there who are putting out content that are misrepresenting themselves. They're creating their stories, they're creating their background, their persona, all of that, okay, and so these motivations, like I just said, the money, but there's other things that could also be determining that, you know. I mean, you've got that whole aspect of those clicks and views, you know, that they're trying to get. And this can go for a variety of people in the community right now too, especially since YouTube has changed their algorithms and stuff and have put out that you need to have shorts. You know, you either have to have a certain number of views or you have to have a certain number of shorts on your platform to be able to get any kind of financial gain.
Yeah.
And so you remember when that happened, all of a sudden everybody was putting out shorts like crazy, just for everything. And that, you know, is that kind of deal, right? I mean, we see it with the Squatch Watchers. They have a shit ton of shorts out there that are all misleading. They all make you, from the beginning to the end is always the same, okay? The end always ends with, what do you think? Or, you know, I don't know what it is, but, you know, what do you think?
Right.
And it always ends that way to leave it open. So later they could always say, well, I said, you know, make your own mind up. But the point is that I think it's very misleading, but their whole point, I do know why. It's for those clicks and views, to drum up the numbers and get more views over to their regular stuff.
So yeah, so they're willing to compromise their integrity just for the views and clicks. And that's kind of the problem with this subject, is there's too many channels like RMSO that's willing to compromise their integrity of the subject just to get those extra clicks. And you're not going to make any money off the Bigfoot subject off YouTube alone. You're really not going to. There's not a market for it unless you're really sensationalizing to the point where your reputation's shot because you know you're just a phony.
Right.
You know, so it's
if someone uses hashtag viral or hashtag trending in their videos, you might want to go the other way with it, you know.
might want to. Okay, we've got another guest in. Let me go ahead and bring him on. We have Blake from Lost Cryptid. Hey, how are you doing,
man?
Blake?
Doing good.
How's it going?
Doing.
Good.
Yep.
Sound good.
Oh wait, let me get a level on you real quick. Can you? I can't hear you.
Can you sing for us?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Sometimes it's my headset doing it. So.
If you still want to sing for us, you can.
You can. Everybody's welcome to sing on here. So we're talking about popularity, clicks and views. We were just talking about the Squatch Watchers and how they use their shorts as a way. And you brought this up last night, I believe, too. They always use that. And I should have wrote it down, but last night you said, one of the ones you played, he goes, I don't know, or something like that.
Yes. Really.
And I was like, that was so funny because you started, you know, repeating it. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be Blake's new catchphrase right there.
It might be.
Yeah, it was funny. Oh, looky here. We've got our last guest come in. Good job. And it's Jeffro from Pine Island Research. Welcome.
What's
Hey.
up?
Hey,
Haven't seen you in a
sorry,
while.
I'm running a little late.
You're good. You're good. Now we are a full house. So we're talking about hoaxers. We're talking about the frauds and the people who believe them. So one of those aspects is the popularity thing, the clicks and views and how some channels probably go above and beyond their respectability in doing that, using it probably in not a very honest way.
They're clickbaiting is what they're doing.
Clickbaiting.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
They're clickbaiting, trying to exploit people's real interest in the subject.
Right.
Good job, Squatch Watchers. If you guys are watching, we're watching you.
Another one, maybe RSMO is part of that group too. And
Oh, yeah.
because
They
they
sold
put
out.
they put out the stuff and they make you want to believe everything's a Bigfoot. Even stuff that we know, you don't even have to research it. You can look at it and know it's not real. Whatever happened to that you can look at something and know that is not real, right? And we've totally lost that. You now have more than 50% of the people will say, prove it. Prove it's not real. How do you know it's not real? And I don't know. It's getting to be that way. And you can't even now on Facebook groups, you can't even say anything because they want to kick you out right away if you don't agree with the poster. Be nice. You don't have to. I'm just telling you, that's the Ivan Mark's wife right there in that suit, because all week long I've been seeing stupid Ivan Mark's photo coming up all week, and I want to post it to every single person who believes that photo, but then I get in trouble. So that's something that's just it's going to be on the up and up, but I'm going to combat it. I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm seeing more people do that. I've seen Thomas Markham just lay into people. I've seen a bunch of different people who will tell them no, that's not what it is, and that's what we need, because a lot of people will just leave or move on and don't bother to say anything, when they're cruising all of the groups. And I think that's what I'm hope to see, is that people start to say, no, I don't really know all the info, but no, you can go here or go there and find out the information about that. And that's one of the big goals, right? Big goals for like Steve Culls, for me, for what's his name, Phil Poling and Para Breakdown. It's just to get people to see those red flags and what's going on. So popularity, big thing. I think they want to be seen and heard in the community, and sometimes those are the fast ways. There could be desperation. It listed when I was looking up some stuff about frauds that they could be desperate. There could be different things that are causing them to do this, and it could be greed. It could be them just wanting more and more and more. Maybe they got a little taste, and they realize how big they could go, and they want more. Some, that's all they do is this, right? Is online podcasting and that, and trying to make a living at doing this, which is a hard thing to do. It really is hard to make a full-time living Like,
Well, yeah. You know, and the thing is too that everybody's really starting to talk about is the AI generated stories with these story channels.
Okay.
So we can't even guarantee that the stories that are being told on these channels are even legit. So it makes you wonder how we, the people, are going to combat that going forward in the future with how we are going to, think of these channels that don't want to show more evidence that what they're saying is real, to give themselves more transparency. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that progresses going forward, because I'm a firm believer that, ghostwriters have been used for a while, that people use AI generated chats, that people just make shit up on the fly. I mean, DW's like probably he could do it with like no issue. He can probably just go sit on the toilet and go make a 30-minute video,
Right.
So yeah, it's just it's just like you're saying, it's just people exploiting.
They're not even
exploiting
books. They're not even books at this point. They're more like pamphlets. They're like 35 pages of nonsense generated by AI, and they put it on Amazon and sell it on Amazon, and they don't have to worry about it's print on demand, so they don't have to worry about losing money. So it's a win-win for any scammer who's trying to get into the industry, I guess. It's getting bad. It's getting really bad.
It just makes you realize. Now, I wasn't a big person in encounter stories to begin with. I was in the beginning, okay? And everybody starts, by the stories. But once you've gotten into the stories, they all start sounding the same. Different place, maybe different look, but the generally the way the whole encounter goes, it's kind of the same, and I love to hear encounters of people who have nothing to do with the Bigfoot community, the ones that are just hikers, or they were out on a picnic with the family and some shit went down, those I find a little more credible. They generally don't do interviews. They don't want anything to do with the community. They just barely put out, one listing. Maybe they talk to some kind of forest ranger or somebody and gave their statement, and then that's it. That's all you hear about it. Those I find a little bit more enticing, a little bit more believable to me. But
I don't think it changes the stories at all. It just basically gives you a firmer place to stand in vetting the integrity of the source. There was no really reason to do this. Actually, in most of those cases, you look at what they stand to lose versus what they stand to gain, and there's more risk to share it. They'd have a better reason not to talk about it than to talk about it. When you hear that, what that really does, it enhances the integrity, or at least some surety that what you're about to hear is in fact something that actually happened to this person. I don't know that it makes their story any better, you know what I mean? But it definitely seems to ensure some the vetting integrity in it. But
right, I agree. So the schemes, right? There's schemes that start to happen when they get, I don't know, encompassed in their little scam, right? That they get their ethics go out the door if they ever had any, and it's always about getting more with
building up that persona. Yeah, building up that persona. Like saying you're Chris Kyle's pallbearer best friend kind of stuff.
Right.
It's almost like in nature they have to say the craziest stuff ever and keep building upon it. It's not good enough. You've already laid out the line. You got to keep going and going and going.
Right.
It's out of
and
control.
then all of a sudden they're associated with more scammers, and they start feeding off each other, And now they have to show off. They have to, they have other people that they have to kind of impress in their little worlds. And they get sucked in too. Even if there's one that may be legit, now they're sucked into this, bad element. And I wouldn't trust, there's, of course, these groups we're talking about, the whole DW, the whole vault group, the whole paranormal side of Dogman, all of that stuff. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? When shit like that happens. So they fed off each other, and now they're attacking each other. And of course, we're watching in the wings like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now?
I got my popcorn. That's hopefully you got yours too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. But I think it's about time, that other people start saying or questioning some of the stuff that's being said. And that's what happened with Brent and Donald and Lockbeard and a bunch of different people who had enough, right? We had enough of Vault. We knew he was lying since the beginning, since the bell tower audio came out, and that blew up, and it caused a huge ass scene. And that was like 2 years ago. 2 years? 3 years ago? How long ago?
About 2 years ago, yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years.
So we knew back then that it was bad news, but I considered them not great people. So I just wanted to forget about things. And that might not have been the right decision. It was the right decision for me at the time. But now it came back, right? Karma came back. It took a little while, but they started feeding off of themselves. And Brent did a good job on calling all that out.
Well, I also got to give credit to Mr. Donald Fuller, who's now in the house, for getting a lot. Yeah, for getting a lot of this information that we've talked about, that I've talked about in my video. And I've been kind of a dick and didn't really credit him, rightfully so. But, it's people like that keep tabs on these more nefarious people. Like Donald would be like, yeah, man, this is what Vault's up to. It's like, geez, man. Like that video that Kat had on her video, I got that from Donald. Donald posted that to me, or in the group chat that we're in. So it's good that there's people out there that are keeping tabs on these people. And
right. Both of you guys did an amazing job on that video, by the way. It was great.
Yeah.
Well, Donald's been keeping track for a long time. He probably has tons of footage. You could probably put out a whole documentary on this guy by this point. But
it's good to have the watchdogs like that. I know a lot of people say, oh, they're trying to frame them in a bad light of what they're doing, of trying to hold people accountable and all that stuff. But, that's not the case. What these people are doing is very much needed in this subject, need our support, especially getting the information out there that they're collecting and finding and stuff, because they do put it out themselves, but it's always good to have more than one voice, like you're talking about, how we need to have more people speaking up and having the voice and having the confidence. Now I think that's what it is everybody, we're getting the confidence to overcoming of what the obstacle was, which is a lot of their subscribers would come and attack people that was bringing this information. Like I remember when I first started talking about people hoaxing, I was told I was going to be blacklisted if I didn't remove information, and a lot of people trying to get me to stop, but I didn't ever stop. And that's one of the biggest obstacles. But now it's not really much of one anymore, because we see through it now.
Right, we saw through it. He knew that he was exposed. With all that dedication, that time, because that stuff takes a lot of time, getting all that information and doing all the clipping and screenshots and all of that, because at any moment you never knew if something was just going to disappear. Okay, you find something in this day and age, you need to screenshot it and hold it, or download the videos, or whatever you do, because they're gone. They pop up. A good example was that Zasky video of him claiming to be a Bigfoot. That was classic, right?
Well, look at what happened to Vault Keeper's channel, a person that we all know and have proof that he's grifting, he's lying, he's a hoaxer. He, is a narcissistic abuser that's just manipulating people out there. We know that about him. So what did the Bigfoot community do? Well, a bunch of us more, stood up against him. And so what did he do? He removed all the videos on his channel. He only has like 7 up and they're behind a paid membership. So that there kind of goes to show you that, the tide is changing and the peer pressure can work in reverse ways as well. So,
well, they're not all gone. I'll just say that. I know a lot of people that started.
They might
collecting.
be privated.
Well, no, I was going to say a lot of people started collecting because they knew they were soon going to be gone. And
right.
And why is he removing those? You think?
Well, because he said he killed people before he knew how to drive a car and shit like that.
Yep.
So crazy. That's
illegal. I mean,
yeah.
I know, but when you made that video, Eric, several months ago, it never went. It never stopped him. I don't understand that at all. You would have, would think that YouTube would have at least watched it and thought, well, let's check it out. Let's just see.
Well,
we're gonna.
Yeah, I think I have a theory about that. It's just he didn't get enough support. Like as far as more people saying the same thing as different channels, I think if more people were saying the same thing as he was at that particular time, it would have had a bigger impact on Vault Keeper, because Vault easily could. He did. He got part of the video removed, and So, but if there was like 6 or 7 of us making a video about the same thing, or about the shenanigans he's doing, but in our own way, it's like it's harder to combat that when you are trying to be, to defend yourself. But against one person, easy.
Yeah, and the thing was, it wasn't even like a content complaint or trademark, copyright, anything like that. What it was his girlfriend was embarrassed to be in that video. And she told me, hey, remove me. Sent me an email and text or whatever it was saying, hey, you need to remove me or whatever. And the Vault had no idea, because he reached out to me and I said, hey, why'd you hit me with or he emailed me saying something. And I said, why did you hit me with the privacy thing? And he's like, what are you talking about? I said, it was either you or your girlfriend who did it. He had no idea she did that.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's kind of like, she kind of embarrassed. It sounds like she was embarrassed to be seen in that video with it. I would be too. He's talking all this crazy shit.
Well, yeah, because I think at the time that people were contacting her work, which she works in a hospital and stuff, because of some of the stuff that she was saying, apparently. And so people were taking active, in her life of some of this, some of that stuff. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's a good thing, though, that they all got exposed of what they're kind of really doing and going on. As far as his girlfriend, I don't know how much she's involved, but I don't know.
I think they were using her PayPal or Cash App at the end. So, I mean, would you consider that guilty by association? Or, I mean...
Yeah. It's like, it sucks that she's so invested in that person.
Right. So there's another thing. We don't really know what other motivations could be. It could be a whole slew of different things out there that he feels he needs to do, gambling or drugs or alcohol, or I don't know any of this. I'm not saying he has any addictions or anything. It's just part of the MO of a fraudster, okay? Is that they have something that's driving them, right? It's driving them to that end, a means to an end. And this tends to be one of the big things that can push somebody over the edge into creating false narratives, creating that new persona, and that. So I had to list it because it is part of that whole anatomy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other one is ethics, right? And this is a big one for like Vault, who seems to have no conscience, no moral fortitude, responsibility at all.
I think someone's mic is too close to their nose.
Oh, somebody breathing in there. It's probably Blake.
Is it me?
Is
I
it?
don't know.
Sorry.
Everybody quit breathing except Blake, and let's.
I'm trying to like on purpose now.
I'm like the guy that stopped the show just because if somebody has like their smoke detector batteries beeping in the back.
Oh, can't do that.
I'm just that type.
That noise me too.
I think one of the interesting things about this ethics graphic is that we need to back up and look at not so much the channels, but who is supporting them, who's watching them, who's in those chats. And we can separate two definitive categories here. There are those who we find in a lot of our chats who are interested in moving the science, in finding the truth, in answering the questions that get us closer to understanding the mystery of this, right? And then there's those who are just here to be entertained. And that's all they want. They want to be entertained. They need a train wreck to be entertained. Nobody will buy a ticket to a NASCAR race if they're guaranteed there will not be any crashes at it, right? Nobody would go. That's why they tune into Vault. That's why they would go there. Who's going to be the next victim? Who's going to be the next shit talker that he targets? Who's going to be the next person that gets lit on fire? They went there for that. And when you find people who that's the reason why they go there, look at all the words and the descriptives around ethics. They don't have that. They're there to be entertained, and that's it. They aren't there for the integrity or the fairness or the responsibility. But when you look at those who follow these channels because they want the real answers and they want to solve, they want answers to their questions and they want to solve this mystery, they're trying to, they understand that the way you're going to have to do it is you're going to have to be responsible. You're going to have to have integrity. You can't go in there without these things and think you're going to get very far. So, we've got a fundamental difference in the people who are attracted to these types of channels right there. Are you there to be entertained or are you there looking for answers?
Right.
Honestly, I'm one of those people who enjoy a good train wreck. So I actually watch, and we'll listen to some of these, like Colorado Bigfoot. It's like I'll tune into him every once in a while just because, you enjoy a good train wreck. So
that's a whole other thing. There's a whole group of people who like to watch the train wrecks, who like to see the shit show, right? And what's going to happen next. And I got to admit, I do that too, because it's, occasionally that could come into a show. I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's entertaining.
It is.
Well, I think let's compare Vault to, let's say, Todd Standing. Okay. There's a fundamental difference there in that Todd, even though he faked videos, in my opinion, and he crossed that threshold of integrity, he did so with the idea of portraying to others that he's trying to find the answers, right? He wasn't going in there talking about killing people, shooting people, shit he did in the military. I mean, Todd ain't playing that game. He's kind of, masking what he's doing by sacrificing some of the integrity and the things that he does, but trying to make it appear that this is a fundamental research effort trying to get answers. Some of the people that follow him are there for the right reasons. They're just not aware of what they're looking at and what they're seeing, so to speak. I think they're there trying to find answers. A lot of them are. And then there's some of them who are there just to be entertained, right? When it comes to Vault's deal, my point is Todd could right now say he was thinking about shutting down his thing. He'd have thousands of people saying, don't do it, dude. I love watching you. I need you to help me find answers to this, because they think he can do it. The people who are there watching Vault are there because they're looking for the circus. They want to hear the maniac talk about how he shot somebody, how he shot a freaking whatever dogman 400 times or whatever, you know. I mean, that's why they're there. They're not there for any reasons of hoping to find answers. They know there's no real answers to be found there. I refuse to believe those people in those chats are that stupid to think that that guy was going to provide him any real answers. They were there to be entertained to the fullest extent, and that's it.
Well, I think they bought into the vault keeper persona that he was creating for himself. That, you know, it's like a frog in water, boiling water, you know. They bought into it early on, and just, you know, for the most of them, I think they could never really escape that persona that they bought into. And that's why they will go down with them, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Look at Chris. She evidently believed in his crap because she posted pictures that I feel he gave to her. Okay.
For sure.
I don't
100%.
I don't think she did it. He gave her those photos, and she proud, that's my boyfriend, you know, let's make a little short about, here are the photos to prove you guys wrong type of deal. And didn't even think about it. Didn't even think that somebody would throw one of those photos into a reverse search and find the truth.
Whoops.
I think that a lot of the personalities that you see on these channels, for the most part, started out in that innocent first step that we all started out in. And it was different for everybody. Maybe whatever sparked your interest was seeing the PG film at a movie theater at a matinee when you were 8 years old, you know, or maybe it was something you read in a Ranger Rick magazine at the library, you know. I whatever it was that got you interested in the Bigfoot phenomena, so to speak, you had a catalyst that started and you kept moving forward and forward. Maybe you sat on it for a while and later expressed your interest and started getting on YouTube when social media took off. But that original spark that got your interest going was an innocent thing. I believe Todd Standing was there at his step one at some point with an innocent spark of that got his interest going. I think a lot of guys who have strayed into the weeds and sacrifice their integrity in this started at that innocent point. They just at some point crossed that line. When it comes to vault, I don't know that he did. I don't know that he started there. He almost seems like the kind of guy that said, I need to make money. I need to create a way to make wealth off of what I talk about. He may have looked at several different topics, different communities, and said, hey, I see what DW is doing with this Bigfoot and Dogman thing. That's my spot. I don't know that there was an innocent first step for him. You know,
he's pretty good at manipulating. I think it's probably a lifelong thing that he's been doing, you know, this type of facade that he put up, too insecure to be the real himself, you know.
Well,
So,
he
yeah.
used it.
I think it's the people that follow that are ultra gullible that honestly do believe Vault. There's some small percentage that honestly believe everything that he says and will believe anything that anyone says that comes out of their mouth because these people.
Well, look at his followers. He had a lot of followers.
Scare the red circles with nothing, and then they do it to themselves, whether they honestly know that there's nothing in the bush, but yet they're regurgitating what they see. Everyone else.
Yeah, but you know they're being manipulated, and they
don't want to either think or critical think about these stories, about the person, about what they see, about the behaviors they see. They want to believe the character that they see, not the reality.
Persona. Yeah, that's why you see like a lot of these name brand people. You know, you see with the hats or whatever. None of you guys are wearing hats, are you? Okay, good.
So I hate that. I can't stand that. You can go to a conference and 8 out of the 12 guys are wearing fucking leather cowboy hats. In Texas, we don't wear leather cowboy hats.
I know, it's like, man, wouldn't that get hot? That'd get hot for me.
I can't stand that. I cannot stand that.
But yeah, it's you know, it's just the persona of what people think a Bigfoot investigator is, and you know, that's just what's been sold for so long to people that it's like, because you see it on TV, even in different fields too. But yeah, it's just what people expect their investigator to be and look like, not some dude, that looks like us. No hats, no gimmick, no brand.
Got to have a back table where you're selling 13 books, 14 documentaries, a brand of hot sauce with your name on it. It's like, come on.
Well, it's almost like, we're on like another level, we're out there doing it and stuff, we're not sitting on the couch. So like some people put us and some of these people on a pedestal and want to believe everything like we're, superheroes out there trying to, look for Bigfoot.
Yeah.
But and that's why all this stuff does sell and they get very popular and they can start these hot sauce brands.
But this, how I analyze it, Blake, is I got to look at it like this, and that in 1987 I had an encounter that really had quite an effect on me, to where I really didn't know how to react to it for quite a while. Couldn't find a venue to even express to anyone else what had happened to me or feel comfortable talking about what happened to me. There was a lot of risk, it's felt like, where I was in my life at that point. But what it comes down to is, what makes somebody say, I want to make a living off of the experience that I had? That's where I start having a problem, because I'm going to look at it this way. If I was in a plane crash and I lived through it, had a traumatic experience like that, and said, you know what, I'm going to quit my job and make a living off of talking about the plane crash I was in. Or I was carjacked and somebody stuck a gun to my head, or whatever. Any traumatic life experience you've been through, who looks at this and says, I got to quit my job and make a living off of talking about this, right? But yet, how many people have had a Bigfoot experience and say, I got to quit everything I'm doing and start speaking at all these conferences and invent a hot sauce brand and all this shit? It's like, where does that come from? It kind of trips me up a little bit. And I get where some people it kind of naturally happens, but other people it feels like they're trying to force an option in life to travel down that would provide an income based off of an experience that they've had. But yet I see other people in this world having life-changing traumatic experiences. It isn't a reason for them to quit their job and try to make money off of focusing on the one experience. Why does that happen so much here in this community?
I honestly think so. It provides so many opportunities for lonely people, friends, opportunities for social life, opportunities for adventuring. Now you're important. Now you're kind of a badass.
You guys just skipped like money. 5 slides. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You're right there, Blake. It is. It's an outlet. Certain people give that outlet. Even for me, I'm an armchair researcher. I always have been. I have never had the opportunity to go out. I have recently gone out a couple of times. I am far from being a researcher in my eyes. I'm more like an investigator. I'm intrigued. I do want to go out. I know I can do it now. Now it's already snowing up in Cloudcroft, which is, I'm like, ew, I don't want to do that in the snow. But, yeah, it's an outlet. It's for people who can't do that, can't go out, and they want to be part of it. And many times I have heard people say it on Brent's channel, even on my recent videos, that they feel like they're going out, on that trail, on that hike with us. And it's that opportunity for them.
Well, I think there's a lot of people in chat that have expressed that, and we need to always be conscious of that. I think, as somebody who has a channel and creates content, is that there are different reasons why people are here, and sometimes it's because somebody might be disabled and they're at home, and this is a lot of their days they spend watching different things on YouTube. They develop a friends group, a family, so to speak, here, people they care about, people that care about them. And the way they kind of live almost vicariously a little bit through those little videos that you film of yourself walking through the woods. They feel like they get to go with you that day. I totally get that. There's people who work in a cubicle every day, but they have the ability to watch videos while they're working. It feels like they're getting out of the cubicle, you know? I totally understand that concept.
Right.
I'm just a little more tripped up as a creator. I might look at that and say, this is a great opportunity to create content and take people on these journeys with me. But I kind of feel like what I call the Todd Standing effect exists here, to where you might start out in the outdoors, hearing some sounds, seeing some things, you're telling your stories, you're sharing some evidence, and all of a sudden the crowd, it's like the movie Gladiator, okay? The crowd screaming for more, right? And that threshold of what it's going to take to entertain the crowd raises each time you do a show.
Well,
And
we saw that with we saw that with the King people. They were pushed by their audience, like you were just saying, to do that. Yeah.
I think for Todd, he reached a level where he had to manufacture videos and everything else to feel like he was meeting the demand to be relevant and keep pace like he wanted to. And he craved that positive feeling of people saying, wow, awesome job, this and that. I mean, it was like heroin to him.
Were you sure it wasn't? You sure it wasn't just the groupies he was getting to? Because he was getting a ton of those. And I mean, you go to his Facebook channel.
My point is, I don't know that he woke up one morning and said, I'm going to start being the bad guy in this community. I think there was a Todd Standing effect, that I call it, where that momentum, that threshold, that bar kept getting raised to where he had to start manufacturing shit in order to meet the demand that his followers, he felt they were pushing on him. He didn't realize that if they really like your personality, you can make a video of you petting your dog that day. And, you know, they're going to watch. You don't need to go out and make fake videos of Sasquatch to get people to come back. But he felt that he had to.
So many people do.
How much was he charging for his expeditions there again?
4,500.
Over 3,000.
Yep. All right, just making sure. So yeah.
Zasky was only 500.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, less days though too. So
shit, I'll tell you. You bring a 12-pack of beer and fill my truck up with gas. I'll go dump you off somewhere where you. And then I'll go hide in the dark and bang on a tree if I have to, if that's what trips your trigger. But you know,
I think that, you know, feeling the approach to people and stuff, it's almost like a drug, you know, you feel all those endorphins and stuff, and you don't want to lose it. Yeah. You have to manufacture.
Right. I think there's this need to stay relevant. I've seen it with some of the friends that I've met over the years that do this, you know, when they're trying to figure out, what am I going to do my next show about? Look, this need to feel like I have to be relevant to these people. I have to do a show that people will crave and this and that. You know what? Just getting on. I've started more and more realizing you can push go live and just come on and be your genuine self and talk about things and follow the flow of the conversation. And some of the most interesting conversations I've ever had about Bigfoot in this community didn't start out with a list of bullet points and talking points for a show to follow. So, you know, I think that's one of the comfortable things that exists with a lot of us, is that we don't feel that we need to manufacture some sort of chaotic circus in order for people to want to come and hang out with you, you know?
Right. There is one other aspect that was centered like around revenge and retaliation. And that's where this DW character would probably fit into real, because he uses that. He uses his pulpit, I guess you can say, for that, you know, to threaten people constantly, you know, and that's his means, and his little scare tactics to for everybody, right, in that whole community and elsewhere, you know, because it's his family. So, and that's just part of the whole thing. Another thing is fear of losing all of that, and we kind of talked about that already. You know, you have to have that, they have that motivation to keep on going because of the fear of losing it all. But one of the things that ties it all together is this whole idea of the fraud triangle. And I don't know if you guys have heard of that thing, but it's where they have an opportunity, and then there's that pressure, which, or motivation, right? And they can rationalize what they're doing. And it's just this circle that'll keep them going and doing it over and over and over.
And then when you get really good at it, you can skip the rationalization part like Rick Dyer does. I don't need to rationalize what I'm doing. I know I'm wrong. I'm fine with it.
Exactly.
Making money too, you know.
He is kind of the rare one because he's so open about, I want the money. I'm a hoaxer.
Yeah,
but
real
of
quick,
course,
on that Rick Dyer thing. So I did a Freedom of Information Act for any information on that phone call. That was, I guess he was a part of that phone call that took place in Bexar County there for the shooting Bigfoot documentary. The homeless couple phone call. That's not a real phone call. That's 100% fabricated. They returned my FOIA request back saying they had no data of any phone call or anything like that. So not only has he provided fake Bigfoot bodies, but a fake phone call too. So and a lot of people were wondering about that. It's totally fake. Yeah,
great. That's good to know. Because he's at it again, folks. He is building his team. He's wrapped his new truck up with his Bigfoot shit, and he's gonna start filming and doing stuff. So
car sales are slow, man.
Yeah, but he's gonna get a lot of people watching him. I'm gonna watch him because I have to. You know, I want to see what the next.
You like that train wreck? You like that train wreck too? Come on. We all do. Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
He was my soap opera for a long, long time.
No, I actually love the story arc with the Rick Dyer thing when he went to Taiwan and had that fling down there, and that whole drama with I think his girlfriend came over or something like that. Man, that was awesome. That was better than that was better than reality TV. That was classic. That was good. I like that. Anyways.
I am going to adjust your mic, okay? Keep talking.
Oh, okay. Okay.
There you go.
Hello?
I think that's better. You were really hot there, blowing my ears out.
Oh, sorry.
There, that's better.
Close.
Okay. Right. So, but then we have those followers, and we've already started to talk about it. Blake mentioned it, is that how gullible a lot of them are, and maybe a little naive, but they're giving their money. How can they give their money? Brent, how much did he make in that one couple of nights, or one night, like $1,500 or?
Yeah, for his website that he needed $1,500, and he got it in like a few day period. Where's that website? Hey, what about that documentary, Vault Keeper James Tucker? Where's that documentary at? Oh, I don't know. He's got like what? It was like 2-3 years in the making now, and how many thousands of dollars were donated? What about that property, James Tucker, that you have been soliciting money for? Was it $1,600, Eric? Wasn't it for that he needed?
I mean, evidence of fraud for sure. I know that.
Yeah. You know, are you paying taxes on that?
Well, you're talking about taxes. For whatever reason, he thinks PayPal was paying his taxes, which That's not how it works. That's a fee PayPal takes from you. Okay, so you're saying that on air? Like, holy shit, that is not the smartest thing to do.
But he's given all this money and he's never produced anything, and his fans or subscribers, they just forget, like short-term memory, because of the drama he's able to create around himself. That he'll figure out a way to distract them and move on to the next thing. It's like, wow, it's crazy. But the times have changed, and where he's being held accountable for it, and to the point where I don't know. I think the Vault Keeper persona is over, because I think he made a mockery of it with trying to, make it look all cool and stuff. He made a joke of it. So I was like, I want to start over, buddy.
Well, I think
be yourself, James Tucker.
People are starting to hit that PayPal or Venmo for all the money they sent back, and I'm sure by now it's probably negative. So you got to figure out some way to. And there might be a new grift coming soon to kind of make his balance even there. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm waiting for the SEAL Team 6 claim.
He's at a point now where, if he's truly choked out on feeling irrelevant, he's at that point where he's going to manufacture evidence. Just
he's
like
been doing that, hasn't he? With the
no, but I'm saying he's going to
with
take it to
that black hair
level.
that couldn't.
You're not going to hear the story about how he shot Dogman over 400 times. You're going to see a video of him emptying clips at something in the dark as he's screaming, saying he's shooting Dogman. Something stupid is going to come out for him to try to break through this veil of relevance that he feels that he's been shut out of now.
But he didn't even try to hide the fact he was stealing photos.
He couldn't.
He took all of them from one video. I found them in one video.
He doesn't realize
He
doesn't realize the internet's been invented. I guess it's
surprise, buddy. Just wait till he finds porn.
Here's the interesting thing about him, and I know this is hard for some people to wrap their head around. As crazy and as psychotic as he came out, and he seems downright like living in the foothills of West Virginia with the whatever their names are, the people who are always on videos. He kind of comes off as that a little bit. But I'm going to tell you one thing. He's not really that stupid. Okay? He might lack a lot of street smarts, but when it comes to cunning and being creative on how to do shit the wrong way, I don't think he's that stupid. And I think that he thought he could get away with everything, and he did for a long time. And he knew people were calling him out on stuff that they were right about, but he didn't consider it a threat because he had 4,000 whatever people there watching and licking up and drinking down any Kool-Aid he'd slop in the glass for him.
Oh.
It's when it got outside of that group with the stolen valor accusations. That is something that you can't outrun, dude. You can't outrun that. And that will take you down. That will bring you in front of a court. That will put you in front of a judge. That shit you can't outrun. I think that he's not stupid to a point where I think he saw that and said, whoa, I got to feather the brakes on this thing. Everything else he didn't give a shit about. But that whole stolen valor thing all of a sudden got real with him. He knows he's guilty of it. And he knows they have him dead to rights. And if it isn't just other YouTube personalities like us saying it, but it's actually higher ups in that stolen valor community that know how to identify that shit, and they've got a track record of prosecuting people. When you're on their radar, you got to go silent. You have to disappear. And I think he's smart enough that he knew that.
Well, I don't know if it was that there specifically, because technically he never did stolen valor if you really break down everything he said, because he claims to be a private contractor that worked with the military alongside Chris Kyle with, he was able to do things Chris Kyle couldn't do and vice versa. So that's why
claiming
they
to be
together.
A Chris Kyle pallbearer when every Chris Kyle pallbearer was a military naval officer.
Right. Well, that or saying
That's
being,
stolen valor.
It's
Well,
up there
that
at that gray line, yeah, where it's like,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
he's saying he
yeah,
worked for Blackwater. In order to work for Blackwater, you have to be a veteran. You had to have
I
some
don't
type
know.
of experience. So I mean, that's
When
the
when
line
I
right there,
got
man.
out of the military, I worked for a private security contractor in Jordan for 1 year. And I don't really talk about what we did, what we didn't do. I don't brag about shit. I don't like to say anything about it because I signed disclosure saying I wouldn't. But even more so, I signed disclosures stating that for my life, I'm not talking about for 10 years, but for my life, we couldn't talk about daily logistics of where we were at, who we were protecting, what we were hired to do on any given day. And you could talk about something 20 years down the road and put people who are actively working in that circle right now's life's in danger. You signed away any ability to breathe that shit. So for him to say the things he did about Blackwater and the things he did with them, I'm going to tell you right now, if it was true and it's online, if the stolen valor higher up community caught wind of this, and even if they didn't have him technically on stolen valor, they'd throw him in the lap of Blackwater, and Blackwater would destroy him. I'm telling you right now, he never worked a day for them, because had he done that, the stuff he signed when he left that organization, he couldn't breathe the words he breathed about it on his show. I'm just telling you that right now. I think when he kind of went dark and took shit down, he's reached a point where he knows he can't outrun what's on his tail right now.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot on his tail. I know a lot of what's going on behind the scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is accountability right here. You're going to come and grift. Doesn't matter what community. Just if you're going to grift people, you know, you're going to expect some sort of consequence if you get caught, and be stupid enough to like make the evidence easy enough. Like with that video that you found, Nikki, how he pretty much copied it off all of that. It's like, geez, thanks, Walt, for not being that smart with how you go about things. Appreciate that.
If
Makes it easy.
That
So
video is called 6 Days in Fallujah.
So here's the important thing, guys, is you know, the vault keeper thing, it's an obvious one. It's one that we've known about for a long time. So what about the ones that are not so obvious? There's the ones that are harder to tell. Now that's the one that we're kind of getting into, where it takes a little bit more work and try to better navigate those ones right there, because some of those people are good. Granted, they don't make the ridiculous claims. Maybe they'll make a claim of they have Bigfoot on their property and they're able to go do whatever, you know.
Yeah, you blow a shofar and it calls a dog man. That's
We're not the only ones talking about this either. There are like 3 other channels I know of right now that are bringing out all this mess with Vault. Right. And I mean, what's that, Sir Clumpy, Sir whatever?
Sir Cluffy Cluffington.
Cluffy.
Yeah, I love that channel name.
Channel. The Dogman
Cluffington.
UK guy, he's been doing a lot of hilarious videos. They're kind of bad, but about the whole situation too. I don't know if any of you have seen his stuff, but it's under Dogman UK GB, something like that. He got really how do I put it? Rubbed the wrong way, I guess, with PRT, Paranormal Roundtable, and on the whole group. So he's hitting all of them.
Well, he did some dirty shit. He was really doing some really dirty stuff to a lot of people behind the scenes. I mean, Nikki, I told you, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I was offered $250 for the video I did on a cheap ass offer, by the way. Offered $250 for that video that I did, and he called me when he heard about that through a third party, basically crying on the phone, begging me to destroy that video. And the tough guy routine dropped right then and there. I mean, it's terrible, but no, I mean, he's got a lot of stuff to deal with behind the scenes. He's lost a lot of people just for this shady shit he was doing. Apart from stealing from people.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, apart from stealing money from people, he was doing a lot of really terrible things, saying some terrible stuff, and I'm waiting for that stuff to get exposed, and hopefully it will soon. So yeah.
Well, just like on the Sir Cleffy Cleffington, how Vault Keeper would manipulate women to, for different purposes that he was able to gain from. It's like, man, that there shows you the narcissism level of this guy. So if you guys haven't watched Sir Cleffy Cleffington's video about women's experiences with Vault Keeper, and it goes to show you the tactics that he used, the lack of empathy that he has, and he's willing to literally use someone's own personal trauma against them in order to manipulate people and in order to take advantage of the situation.
There's more people coming forward with stories like that, man. I'm expecting a few more, to be honest with you. It's sad to say.
We need to support those people, and
Yes.
I'm sure Sir Cleffington is vetting these people out, making sure they're all valid people. But we need to support what's going on right now with these people, because man, that's what he was doing. It's like, damn, dude. Ooh, get that shit kicked out of you.
What's sad is all the people that were following Vault now all of a sudden have this void of, well, where do I go now? They aren't making a positive step forward. They're stepping sideways, and they're all gonna show up over on DW's site or somewhere else and say, which they've been going back and forth as that saga and fight went on over the years. Oh, he did this, I gotta go over here. Oh, they did this, I gotta go back over there. I think they all went over to the other side of that deal. I don't think any of them said, I learned my lesson. I got to really vet out the integrity of people that I follow in this community more. I don't know that any of them said that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I just I did a video today, and I was reading the comment section of YouTube, and haven't released it yet. But one of the comments that I read is, someone expressing appreciation of having these discussions of learning about these more nefarious people. So there are people out there that want to learn more about what's kind of going on out there. So it's worthwhile discussions.
Right. Well, I mean, we just have to be vigilant, and I think working together really did work in this situation. The support and helping out wherever we can, alerting each other. Donald throwing, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Keep that up, because that's what makes us keep digging in looking for other things. And I know, Donald, there's more photos that I need to go look for, but it does take time. It does take a lot of time to sit here and search for videos and search for pictures. And just because, for me, just because if I do a reverse search and it doesn't come up, that's not where I stop. I go further and look for other ways of finding things. Generally, it works for people out there just to throw a quick image in there and see if it leads to anything. And from there, it'll just cascade, right? It'll lead you to other things and other things. But it's all about the red flags, the education, keeping everybody informed. Blake talking about hoaxes and in his late nights, and Brent putting out his videos, and me constantly repeating this stuff. It's repeating it. I don't know what to tell you. That's what has to happen right now, and talking about it. And people are liking it. People are definitely responding more to it. I don't know what else we can say other than it's hard, and I do. What am I going to talk about this week? Because I don't want to seem like I am talking about the same thing every time. I work hard not to do that. Unfortunately, stuff comes up a lot. I wasn't going to bring up in my next segment about how many, I think I saw 5 different groups putting the Ivan Marks photo out there, over and over. It's just going to have this cycle of the same stuff that gets dropped. And as long as we're all out there, and if you know what it is, leave a comment and say, no, this is this. Just put it out there. The more people do that, the better. And we can kind of keep, I don't think we're never, ever going to stop the hoaxing. Okay. Because a lot of the people out there are not researchers or investigators. They're just having fun. And they think that's fun, is to just go and put on a suit and, let's make this funny video, That's what most of it is. It's not even meant to really hoax. It's to have fun. They're having fun. But
It's
somebody else, yeah, it's a prank. They put it out in their little group. And then what happens? Somebody outside that group picks that up and throws it into, the mix with a whole new storyline to it, making it something different. And that's just what happens. And I don't think we're not gonna change that.
No, but we can, have the platform to have these discussions like we couldn't have before, so we can better learn and pass along information of who's good, who's bad, and so we can better own investigation and not waste our time on somebody that should have been vetted out a long time ago.
And for people who are in their journey of trying to learn about the subject and get their questions answered, I think that it's important that there is a template kind of laid out into how to approach this, how to vet this, how to understand what a red flag looks like in the things that you hear and see. When I hear people present stuff as fact that aren't facts, I mean, we have very, very few facts in the subject of Bigfoot, like almost none, right? And yet people are out there saying, well, if you ever hear this, this means this or whatever. That's the problem with hoaxing. You have the most extreme versions, which are a 10, right? But what does 2 and 1 look like on that scale? Where is the low end of where hoaxing starts, right? When you take a picture of a tree broken over 90 degrees and you post it and say, this was Sasquatch and this was in my backyard, you don't have any proof that was Sasquatch. You have zero proof that Sasquatch did that. Are you hoaxing? I mean, you're certainly being ignorant by presenting it as a fact instead of saying, this could have been Sasquatch. What are your thoughts? Instead, you're telling everybody who reads this that it was Sasquatch. You're not doing the community any favor by doing that. And yet we see that happening thousands of times a day, it seems like, right? So where does the hoaxing start in the most, I think it's just important that people understand the difference between an opinion and a hypothesis and a belief looks different than what a fact is. So when I come out and say, I believe they do this, maybe I'm wrong, but here's something I've seen a couple different times out in the field is this and this and this. Let me show you some pictures. I don't know if this is Bigfoot, but I've seen it several times and it's starting to make me believe maybe there's a pattern there. Versus coming on and saying, look at these pictures. This is Sasquatch.
Right. Big difference.
Right? Huge difference. But when people are starting their journey in this, Nikki, they don't know what that difference looks like.
Yeah.
They don't know. There is no poison sticker on that glass of purple Kool-Aid for them. There is.
Well, that's what I try and do. That's what I try and do is give people examples of how to better navigate, especially coming into the subject of what to watch out for. And literally, that's all it is. It's just try to give examples just to help people out. Like
everybody, you all have your opinions. We're not trying to take your opinions away. We're trying to give you an educated background, give you those tools to help you make an informed decision, on the stuff that's out there, because we've been around a long time. All of us here have been around in this community a really long time. So we know what's been out there over and over again. And it's those newbies that I'm trying to touch on, by putting the links out there. no, that's not that. It's this. You know, that's the Beacon Bigfoot hoax. Here, this is what it is. It's all created by Ron English. Here, this, that. And I'll keep doing that. And I'm hoping that the people who watch me have seen it so many times that they'll start doing that too. And hopefully it just brings those posts kind of to a nice end. And then we can move on to other things.
Well, it's giving people the resources that's not originally there. Like you're now
Right.
providing resources for the person that didn't originally know it. And that's key. That's important is, you know, because not all of us are at the same point in our journey. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be posting that stuff being like, oh, wow, look, this is Bigfoot. And, you know, a lot of the times they get told in a negative way that it's not. So you being able to provide evidence, no, this is actually kind of what it is. And I think it's important because it creates a different form of communication of how we communicate with each other, which, you know, changes how, you know, it's all done.
If I had the energy, I would make a site just for that type of searches, photo, video. Now we have Squatchopedia.org where you can go and search, but you can't search by photos. Okay. So you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know the name of the hoax you're trying to find to really be to navigate that. But in my world, I would be just drop a photo in there and it would take me to that information. You know, Google does that sometimes, but not on, they don't show all the information associated. They're just going to say, yeah, here's a photo. It was sent, you know, 10 years ago, and another time, you know, 7 years ago or whatever. But one that's more encompassed that would have all that information, because I think there would already be a lot on there. There would definitely already be enough out there for people to use as a resource. But
I think the resource that really the biggest thing that it could serve to help is that I think the more people talk factually about things that aren't facts, it creates this condition of Bigfoot on the brain so easily for people. You know, they go out in the woods and they see a pop bottle stuck on a little twig and they're like, oh, Sasquatch did that. No, somebody's 5-year-old probably did that, you know. But they heard somebody say, if you ever see that, you know, they just don't. There's just so many people that have the almost a responsibility in our community by being interviewed or having a show on YouTube or having a podcast, in how we present our ideas and the things that we see and the data that we uncover and research and the things we experience, how we present that to people. We don't realize if we do that wrongly, what we're creating out there. Bigfoot on the brain is basically a huge problem right now with people that are in the field. And it is a huge problem because these people have been online learning from people on this subject that have been presented shit as fact and not open-minded. When you hear somebody say, if you ever see this, this is this, or the Sasquatch will do this, or they'll never do that. Dude, that's a red flag. Turn your back on somebody who's saying that. If they're going to present stuff like that, you cannot sit there and listen to them and say, they're going to help me get to where I need to go here. They aren't.
And I have a great example coming up of that you guys are going to get to see. Exactly what Jeff was just saying, you know. But that was a great discussion. Thank you, gentlemen. I am going to move on to the next segment, though. And let's see. It's your favorite.
Show me what you got.
Jim, you heard them said, show me what you got.
Show me what you got. I want to see what you got. Oh, boy.
And what do we have? So this came up in one of the Facebook groups, and it was originally by Ben Miller. But what's the guy underneath there? I thought I wrote his name because I can't see it. Nate something. He posted that the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot Patty opens her mouth, and you can only see it with a digital microscope 40 years later, which can't normally be seen on the original 16 millimeter film footage from 1967. And I blew it up as much as I could on this one. But what, why? They're just creating, what does it even matter at this point? But Patty gets picked on for everything. People trying to create stuff out of her, and I found this one just crazy. I mean, they think that anomaly right there is something, right? But it's not. It's not.
Pixelations.
It's all digital manipulation. I think the film frame was like 1/16 of a second or something like that. And if you can't see it on the original unaltered version, you're not gonna get, the more you blow shit up, you're not gonna see anything. I just thought it was noteworthy to say that it's never gonna stop. You know, they're gonna start looking for her hemorrhoids, and they're gonna start looking for braids and, you know, pulling out the braids in her hair and whatever. So just a little craziness there. This was one that goes exactly to what Jeff was saying here near the end, is that these photos came from a lady who has a gifting rock, and she puts peanut butter sandwiches and stuff out there for her Bigfoot, and they come and the next day and they take him from her. But she doesn't have any video because, of course, they don't like to be filmed.
Of course.
Those red marks on those paper towels, she says is rabbit blood. And all I can say is that they left her a rabbit, or they ate a rabbit there or something. It's not clear. It doesn't say in the comment section at all or anything. But she is saying that Bigfoot turned the napkin around too, because if you can see how it was manipulated. I don't know.
You know,
let's not. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, it probably means a lot to her what she's thinking is going on.
It does. The thing is that there's feathers now all around the edges, and this photo is really bad because of how I had to post it on here. But you can see feathers, but when somebody in the comments mentioned, well, that's a lot of feathers there, you know, it's probably crows, you know, eating that stuff. And she goes, oh no, it's not the crows, because I would see little crow feet.
My problem would be is that even if it wasn't crows this time, you couldn't keep placing that stuff out there, peanut butter on bread, without it being crows at some point, or squirrels, or whatever.
Everything.
At some point, something's going to manipulate what you're doing there.
Bears can smell that a long way away, you know, but raccoons and birds would be my number one guess. And the fact that there is feathers all over the place, that, you know, I think you would have to just rule out the Bigfoot thing altogether. I don't know.
Or it's pure fantasy. I've seen a lot of examples where they truly believe there's manipulation. The sticks are being moved and doing stuff the animals want to be doing with rocks and stuff. But there's a whole almost fantasy of them communicating. They're communicating through these things, and somehow they know what it means each and every time. And that is just pure speculation and fantasy. And some of this like mind speak and stuff too. I mean, that's fantasy too. That's gets into the Bigfoot on the brain into that is hoaxing or just full out fantasy, because some of them do believe that
it's hoodwink.
Now they can
It's
talk
a
to the
hoodwink
Bigfoot in your backyard and help you with your problems. And
the problem is she can't prove it. She can't prove anything she's claiming, Blake. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I can give you an alternate option of explanation. An eagle landed by that paper towel holding a gopher or holding a fish in its mouth, and while it stood there, that was dripping blood out on that paper towel, and it flew away. And you can't prove that I'm wrong, therefore you certainly can't substantiate that you're right. So whatever claims she's making, I mean, I don't see anything she's doing here that proves there was any Sasquatch activity in this area.
Tell her to put up a trail camera. That'll solve it.
I know it would solve it, but that doesn't fit her narrative.
Right.
Well,
exactly.
Her narrative is she doesn't keep them there because they don't like to be filmed. So.
And she knows that. Why? How does she know that they don't like crust on their peanut butter sandwiches? But she knows that they don't like to be filmed.
Right.
Where does what she knows and what she doesn't know, where's the parameters of that?
Right.
Fantasy.
Big time.
And that's where that Bigfoot on the brain, you come up with these excuses, you come up with denial.
And I don't have a problem with her wanting to gift. Well, I do with the peanut butter. I don't think you should gift anything that's not naturally out there in the field. So if there's apple orchards, put out apples. There are nuts out there, give them nuts. But unnatural processed shit that we sell here that's horrible, that can kill your dog, you know, who knows what it can do to a Bigfoot, I don't agree with. But I don't have a problem with gifting spots or doing all that stuff. But be realistic that Bigfoot isn't the only thing out there in the forest. You know, it's something else.
Right. Yeah, but people don't want to hear that because, you know, just because it's not part, like, I don't know if you guys are saying it's not part of their narrative because of, you know, that's what they need in their life. They need to have this interaction for whichever reason. I can name off some channels right now of people who are just like that. You know, it's like, that's why I won't ever talk about them or anything about that, because there's no real need to, because they're on their own personal journey. They're out there. They're not out there nefariously doing a lot of negative stuff. And so I just leave people like that alone. They don't deserve our attention, because I think that if they didn't have that in their life, that they might not be in as good of a place as they are, because that might be the only stable thing that they have in their life. And you'll find that with a lot of the people who, you know, who have this type of narrative where it's, they'll keep, you know, like, you know, just this type of narrative. This one right here. I'm willing to bet it's an older lady, you know, might live at home by herself. You know, it's one of those things where we have to recognize where the source is coming from. And, you know, if it is really worth our attention, as far as how much we want to force that person into our ideology, that there's other animals out there, you know. For me, I was just like, I let people have this stuff. It's like, if they want to believe that it's Bigfoot, you know, for me, it's okay, because I don't think it influences the subject as nearly as much.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. And if anything, it just actually, I think for most people who are trying to approach us with an air of common sense, you know, when you see somebody that says, well, here, I put these 5 dice out, and this one dice was moved from a 6 to a 3, and it's not in line now. My response would be, I'm going to list off 146 vertebrate mammals, and I'm going to tell you the 280 some different aviary birds that live in that area. And you're going to tell me out of all of those options that was Sasquatch. 100%. I mean, that doesn't even make sense at that point. Okay.
Right.
No, I mean, well, the problem,
but it helps them get through their day.
It probably does. You know, some people need that reassuring fable and not the cold, hard truth, because, you know, it gets them through the night.
No, but the problem is you get bigger platforms trying to exploit that, trying to get them on their show and talk about it just for the views. that's a form of grifting. I'm not sure that was listed or not, but I mean that's another form
That's
right
true.
there. Just using
Right.
their story to kind of gain, maybe a bit of credibility, or for whatever reason, someone new that other people haven't heard about, and that's when they get taken advantage of. And I definitely see an issue when you start looking into stuff like that. So
Because
I think,
open-mindedness goes
far.
both ways, right?
Exactly,
Not
yeah.
just for us watching their evidence, but the people putting out the evidence as well. Because had she made one little comment at the end of her spiel about, I don't know, it is what it is, I don't know what it could be, I probably would have never brought this over here, I would have just let it go. But people in her comment section were continuously telling her, well, it looks like it was probably birds. It was probably birds that did that. And she adamantly said, no, it was not birds. And we're like, well, explain the feathers down at the bottom. Well, those were there before. But this is her gifting rock, right? So things just...
I think you can get every case that's similar to this and really convolute the conversation up with all these details, right? But it's really simple. I think it's so simple in that as long as they can look at something in their mind, attribute it to Sasquatch, they can say they're moving forward and they're making progress. If they have to look at it and say, that's likely not Sasquatch, they feel they're not getting anywhere. And some people, where they're at in their life emotionally and mentally, they need to move forward. If they feel they're not moving forward, or they're moving backward, or their efforts aren't producing, unfortunately, it is really, really something that affects them way different than it would me or you looking at something and saying, yeah, I don't think that was Sasquatch. To them, it is a different effect that they place upon themselves by acknowledging that maybe it wasn't. And I don't think it's easy for us to wrap our head around that. Some people are just that, I don't want to say damaged, but they're that far from being able to invoke the common sense and acknowledge what else it could have been. They're just not capable of it.
No, I think, and that is a problem. Sometimes we should leave these people alone because it's not worth our time to pick on these people and stuff. But at the same time, when they gather up, they produce fantasies and lore that is not real, and they get taken advantage of by manipulators like Vault and stuff who thrive on these type of people.
But then again, they go into a group on Facebook and post a picture of this stuff, and they get 246 likes from people who are like, they aren't looking at it saying, hey, I know that, you're dealing with this, and so I'm going to like it to make you feel good. They're clicking like because they believe this person's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and so they're making up this fantasy, and now there's this.
So they're feeding into it. It's a frenzy that gains momentum, I think, and that's why I say the Bigfoot on the brain thing is a condition that is momentously forced on people, and you start. It's like barnacles on a ship. You start wearing it after a while if you let yourself be around it.
What is Gary saying? I see you throw a lot of quotes out there, Brent. Just wondering. Are you arguing with Gary?
Trying to figure out what Brent quoted.
I don't know. I know. I don't.
Oh, I did a quote of Carl Sagan. I think a little earlier. I throw in Nietzsche quotes every once in a while. Alan Watts and stuff. So
I threw this just in there. This is from Dawn McNally. Yeah, that's her Bigfoot with a baby.
That's cute. Look at the baby, the little baby.
I don't see anything.
Oh, it's right there, man.
Yeah.
You don't see it? Squint your eyes. It's like you ever see those? Remember those paintings or whatever? Yeah, back in
Oh,
the back in the day
yeah,
where you
you
got to
have
squint
to
your eyes and
blur
it's
your
a
eyes.
3D image. Yeah, that's what you got to do, man.
your
Just
eyes on 'em.
squint your eyes and it's just boom, there it is. Bigfoot with a baby.
Yeah,
But people
Cute
love
baby.
it.
I don't see it.
People love it.
Mm.
Love it. Darn it. Darn it. People love it. I'm on the wrong thing here. So what do we got? We got, this was just interesting, okay? And I put it in here. This is Tony Sigarini. He wore these 30-pound lead shoes and stomped around the Florida beach during the night for 10 years. From 1948 to 58. And caused all kinds. The prank fooled so many people that people were even saying that they saw this thing, okay? They saw the creature. And the speculation about the existence of a giant penguin came out of that. Because
And that's how we got Big Bird.
See, I can support that effort, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Bigfoot. It's really not in my corner of the room that he's muddying the water. If you can get crazy people to believe that there's a penguin that big on the beach, dude, I will buy you a beer and say, damn, keep going.
Listen, the tracks were even investigated and by the police and everything. And they believed it was because of the existence of a 15-foot tall penguin.
Wow.
Well, I know I got from two different sources of somebody that are from two different places of people going out and planting fake Bigfoot tracks near like trailheads and stuff. And, I've talked about this before, not to be there for the actual hoax to go off or prank to go off, but to just, just to go do it just for fun and shits and giggles and stuff. And, that's what people kind of come across and stuff. So if you're ever in a populated area, I want to think twice about those prints.
You got to beware because there's people just having fun. I definitely remember me and my daughter making footprints in the sand, big footprints. And I did one just to fake a fool around and have fun. And then she continued to make a whole trackway, so I know things like that happen too. But anyway, I thought this was kind of interesting and I threw it in there. That's one of your news. The next one is audiobooks. There are more and more, places that are coming up with audio availability, audiobook availability. And this one just happened to have a few books out there. And I thought I would throw them up. If anybody was interested in these books, you can find these at where? It doesn't say where. Why did it not say? This says, it doesn't say. What you know? It comes from the Seattle Times, though. Bigfoot panel, whether the mammal metaphor is Bigfoot is real. Here's the interest, and then it just says the names of the things. So I guess it's probably out there on all of your general. I didn't even bother to look because I thought it was going to tell me.
I think most of the publishing companies have gone this route. I know my book at Hanger One Publishing, every book Hanger One has put out is available on audiobook.
Has an audio version? I don't know. They seem kind of cool. They seem being a beast. Oops. Who did we lose?
The media.
Eric. Where did Eric go?
Yeah. I'm trying to see. Okay. You know what? I think this one might have been on Kark earlier. I can't remember now, but this one says that Is this then? This isn't that one. This is the New York Post says the Bigfoot-sized print as large as Shaq's shoe found in Wales. So this is the one that's there he is, in the UK, and there you are.
Sorry about that.
Did I do that or did you do that?
I don't know. It might
know.
have been me. I don't know.
I don't know. But I'm gonna skip this one because you guys all saw it on Kark, and I know you guys were all there. But I don't think Wales has any Bigfoot in it. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there's Bigfoot in the UK?
Not me.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't go outside at nighttime. There's a lot of landscape and moors and muddy places that normal people don't go. The only way to find out is go out after dark.
I don't know. This one is kind of funny, though. An intoxicated man who was wearing a Bigfoot costume scared a group of trick-or-treaters in Rhode Island. And according to the police, it allegedly happened in Barrington, which is a small town, on Halloween night. Reported that the resident called police around 6:30 after an intoxicated man wearing a costume and joined in with a group of adults and children. And they felt that they didn't know the man and felt uncomfortable with him being there. And the officers went on the scene and talked to members of the group police, then called EMTs, who also responded to the scene. The EMTs transported the man wearing the Bigfoot costume to the hospital.
That's a party.
He was crazy. They thought he was crazy. It's still really light news, people. It's like, and I know what Kark's news is, so it's not a lot to choose on. Believe it or not, there was still articles about the stupid train Bigfoot. So out there. But we are coming near the end of the show, and be on the lookout. It's time. It's time for a celebration of life for Joseph Snyder, our friend. And Molly has contacted me, and she's ready to participate and have a show. And she has given me a list of people she really wants to be there. So I'm going to be sending out those invitations to the show next week. And hopefully everybody she wants there will come. And we'll also throw the link out in the chat because we'll have a bunch of empty spaces. But I really hope that you all can come and spend some time talking about our friend, Joe. And we all miss him. And it's going to be, we're going to have a good time with it. She's ready. So that's all I've got today. Thank you guys for coming. Oops, don't have it on the right thing. There we go. So what's going on with you, Eric? What's happening?
Been doing a lot of FOIA requests. I mentioned earlier, I did one I'm trying to do one in every county in my state here in Texas, which there's a lot. So I'm working on that, and I really haven't found anything of interest as of yet. I did do one for I think it was Humboldt County, where Willow Creek is, and I got something weird back. They said they do have some information, but they want to charge me like $13 per page per incident.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's a lot. That's more than I've ever heard of doing a FOIA request. Most of the time they're like 35 cents, 40 cents, but they want $13 per documentation. So trying to figure out what I'm going to do about that. And I've been doing a lot of FOIA request stuff. We were talking about hoaxing and stuff earlier. I'm working on a video about obviously the fake LBL massacre hoax. That's totally fake. Didn't happen. I did find some other stuff that happened in the LBL that people might find interesting, but it's really kind of touch and go with that. And hopefully I won't get too many crazy people coming at me after that one, but we'll see. I've been doing a lot, been working on a lot of stuff, and
Great.
it's been busy.
Look forward to it. There goes Brent. I think he lasted almost the whole show. He was gonna have to leave early, and he still stayed. So thank you, Brent, for being here. Blake, what you got coming up? You got something special coming up?
I got some audio evidence that I am piling up. I got some a witness actually gave me some audio evidence of her mom got a Bigfoot yelling and breaking tree branches and stuff, and so I'm kind of putting that together. Want to make it a little spiffy to hopefully get some views so people actually see it and stuff, instead of I like all these Hoaxes channel, they get all the views and limelight, and the real evidence gets passed by, or potential evidence doesn't get checked. So got some of that in the weeks.
Yeah, well, that's cool. We'll look forward to seeing that, and let me know, and I'll start dropping your channel. I'll start dropping them into my here on Be on the Lookout and on my regular page. So Blake
Appreciate
is
that.
awesome. Haven't seen.
Yeah, I took a little bit of break and stuff, which everyone I think needs and stuff, and it was a lot better being back.
Like Jeff, he disappears, then he comes back, then he disappears, then he comes back.
Yeah, this last I was out in the boonies there for about 6 weeks, but
Dang.
it actually feels good to be back. But
Do you have any more hunting?
just upland hunting, some pheasant hunting here, but most of those clients I run during the weekends, so not a whole lot going on.
Cool.
But I am working on a show that I'll be doing on my channel, not on Untold. Basically because Untold would probably take my keys away from the car if I did it there. It's going to be a show that really recaps a lot of my experience in the outdoors, what I've seen, what I've experienced, and what some of my opinions and thoughts are as they pertain to Bigfoot. And it's not going to be something that a lot of people agree with. It's probably going to piss a few people off, and I'm fine with that. I'm not going to go out and present it as fact. I'm just going to tell you, based on 25 years, I spent over 650 nights in some really, really remote areas, and haven't had much happen that I couldn't find a natural explanation for. And we're not talking about a 3-day weekend, a 4-day weekend. We're talking about extensive, really off the grid spots in Montana, Wyoming, Idaho. These are spots that are squatchy as squatchy gets, And when I'm guiding elk hunters, I'm sitting on ridge tops with a spotting scope 6 to 8 hours a day watching mountainsides. And I see brown bears, black bears, mountain lions, everything you can think of when it comes to vertebrate mammals. I've seen them. Never seen a Sasquatch. 650 days in the wilderness. So no, I say that and say, man, had I not had an encounter in 1987, it'd be pretty easy for me to say, there's no way in hell these things exist, right? But yet I've had this encounter to where I know that there, in my opinion, there is a flesh and blood example of what people would describe as Bigfoot. It's exactly what I saw. But I really want to talk about the whole Bigfoot on the brain thing and how it exists for some people. After 650 days and nights in the wilderness, I for people to say, hey, we're going out this weekend, we'll come back Monday and tell you, and here we've got blobby pictures and, shit being thrown at us and all. And it's like, dude, I've spent 650 nights in the remote wilderness and not had that shit happen. And you go out with 3 buddies that are Bigfoot friends, and you come back with all the shit that happened to you. And my show is going to kind of be based on this idea. We see, if I sent 5 doctors out there to go camping for the weekend, or 5 motorcycle mechanics, or 5 plumbers, do you think they're going to come back and say, I think we had Bigfoot or something? They're not going to say shit. Nothing. But yet you put 5 people from the Bigfoot community out there and they had Bigfoot fucking with them for 3 days straight. Yeah. That's a problem. That is a problem, man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to address that in a show, and it might piss a lot of people off, but, you know, I think we need to take a realistic look at I'm not saying they can't be in all these areas. I'm just saying that if you think you can go out in a 4-day weekend and come back with all these experiences on demand, there's no way, dude. There is no way they exist in those types of numbers like that.
So Donald says, Jeff, I wanted to ask earlier, the personal chats you had with Bolt, did you believe his military stories?
When I first met Bolt, and we're talking like 2 years ago, he sent me an email because I had been on his show just looking. He asked me if he could ask me some questions and interview me for like 10 minutes on the show, and he did, and I answered some questions. And afterwards, he said, hey, you know, I'd like to keep in touch. Do you have a number I could text you at? And I gave him my number, and he gave me his. And we text back and forth. And one night we were talking on the phone for about an hour. And I shared with him the unit that I was in, and in the 82nd Airborne, the 1st of the 502nd, and the structure of that unit, how many people were in my squad, and what we did when we were in Desert Storm and stuff. And when he started telling me about his experiences, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say I had red flags that made him seem like a liar, but the way he talked about stuff didn't seem natural to me. People who have been in the military and have had experiences in those types of theater, so to speak, they talk about them in a certain way, and it's not very outgoing. And you usually do have to pry a little bit to get them comfortable to talk about it. They don't come forth spilling it all out, verbally vomiting their experiences all over you. But he did, and that was a red flag for me.
You can't get my husband to talk about those days, period.
Yeah.
He flat out told me he'll never tell me what he saw or happened or anything. Flat out. He says, nope, not happening. So, but gentlemen, thank you for coming and participating in this. Thank you, everybody, for coming and joining the conversation. Love you guys so much. Please hit that like button before you leave. Leave me a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. And I'm sure I'm going to see you all in the next chat. So